Yo, what's up guys, it's Henry here, and today I want to talk about my recent travels and why I've come back in a totally different mindset. And it took me 4 trips to actually do this. And I actually find it really interesting that my recent trip has actually inspired me, whereas my other trips literally were the main reason why I went on my antidepressants. And I'm just going to take you back to when I first went travelling, and that was Canada. So that was after I came out of uni. I was totally lost. I didn't know what to do. I knew I couldn't get a job because I was unemployable. So off I went to Canada on a ski season, and I love skiing. But as you guys know, I wasn't looking after myself at all here. I was smoking a shitload of weed still. I was still eating really unhealthy, and to be totally truthful, I was just running away because I didn't want a job. And I just didn't want to do the English way of living, or the normal way of living, let's put it that way. So off I went, and I remember starting to think that something was up here, because before I went, I was lazy, and there was definitely early signs of depression. And I took acid on this trip, and luckily I didn't freak out because I was quite experienced when, after being at university. But after this, everything changed for me. It literally felt like the soul had been ripped out of my body, and I was just, it was all I can say. It was just dread. I really struggled to speak to my parents. I struggled to engage in society. I remember coming back from Canada and actually refusing to socialise with my friends, pretending I was jet lagged, and it was literally just the tip of the iceberg for me. So I didn't want a job again. I felt like I couldn't get a job. I had no confidence, so I ran away to South Africa, where much of this continued. But this was the trip where I really knew I needed help, because my anxiety was so bad that I couldn't even socialise. Now, I got back from this trip, and this is when I realised that I needed to get help. I went to the doctors, went on my first antidepressants, and as you guys know, this was the tipping point for me. It's always the first road to recovery when you start to get help. Simple. So why did these trips effectively put me on antidepressants, and why did my recent trip literally get me off of antidepressants in 5 weeks? Now, it's simple. I literally had no clue how to look after myself, and all the skills and coping mechanisms I developed before this recent trip, I kind of knew what I needed to do, and I wasn't actually running away. I was going to find myself and fulfill my passions, and I was going to travel. I wasn't just going to ski or to run away, essentially. And I purely went to India with a purpose. And I remember going away, and I was filled with so much anxiety. I literally thought I was going to go back into the depressive state that I'd already been in so many times before. But I knew what I needed to do, and I remember getting my journal at the airport, writing down everything, how I was feeling, and it almost started like a story, like a diary. And it was really interesting because the first month of my travels when I was alone, I wrote in my diary every single month and every single day for a month, 5 weeks actually, and it was literally amazing to read that back, especially now. But most importantly, this really helped me get the thoughts out of my head, control my anxiety, and then look at my thinking from a calm, rational perspective. And also, it also made me realise that I had a passion for writing, and that I could write. One good thing university taught me, by the way, I was writing essays all the time, so you've got to know how to write. And this trip actually forced me into environments where I'm totally uncomfortable in. And going away on your own was really good. The last trips, I didn't really go away on my own. I kind of went to Canada on my own, but I was with a group of people for the whole 3 months, and I went to South Africa with a couple of friends. But in India, I was on my own for most of it, and I was put into an environment at the yoga where it was full of women, and this situation would have scared the shit out of me before, and it almost did when I arrived. But obviously I had some good coping skills, and I just got on with it. And as I carried on and got to know everyone, and I was just super comfortable in the environment, and this trip actually made me overcome so many fears. and it broke down so many barriers in my brain, just for looking after myself, doing yoga every day, meditation, eating really well, socializing with all different kinds of people. And obviously when I was on my own, I was doing that as well, and I was forced into social situations. I was always doing something, I was always meeting people, I was writing in my diary, I was living my passions, I was doing yoga, I was still exercising. Whereas the trips before, I was doing none of that. I was eating shit, I wasn't exercising, I was bored. Whereas the other trip, I was looking for inspiration, I was learning, and I was asking people what they do for a living, and I was just really trying to find and indulge into my passions. And within the first 5 weeks of my trip, 4 of which were the yoga, I was off my antidepressants, and I was literally like, I don't need them anymore. And I threw them in the bin, and I actually saw, before I'd done this, I actually saw an Ayurvedic doctor, and I had bollocks. Yo, got them. I actually saw an Ayurvedic doctor and got these bad boys. And this is a natural memory enhancer. He advises it to his patients as an anxiety medication, effectively. But it's all natural ingredients. And I started taking this, and obviously I was feeling pretty good at the time. And then I just kind of thought, do I need my antidepressants anymore? And I just put them in the bin. And I've never looked back since, and I'm so glad I'm off them now, because they aren't addictive, and I can just I take them every day, but I can take them. I don't have to rely on them every single day without freaking out. So I didn't just go to travelling just to hide away from my deep-seated issue that I know I had. Like, you cannot run away from anxiety or depression or any mental illness, if I'm honest with you. This is what I thought I could do. I thought I could just run away and it would go, because I'll be travelling, it would be amazing. But no, guys, you need to hone in on the skills and knowledge that you need to overcome this. And I find this really interesting. I learned that Mark Zuckerberg actually spoke to Steve Jobs before, as he was setting up Facebook, and he asked him, he was like, how big can Facebook be? I have some doubts, I don't know where I'm going next. He was a little bit lost and confused. And Steve Jobs just said to him, he was like, go away to India for 1 month and go on a quest and just find some inspiration. And that's exactly what he'd done. And he went on this trip, and he saw obviously the Indian people and how they love and connect to each other. And it really got him inspired about how powerful Facebook could be. And the fact that someone right here, right now, where I am, can speak to someone in India with an instance. And he came back refreshed, and Facebook, as you know, kicked off. And this really resonated with me, because I actually feel like this is exactly what India done to me as well. It just got me inspired, and just seeing the people out there, and just that they're so loving, and everyone's like wants to help you and give you food. And I just had like such a good experience out there. And not to forget Bali as well. India spiritually, inspirationally, but Bali in terms of opening up career options for myself, and obviously the wonderful world of the internet, and just seeing how people live their lifestyle, and just thinking, damn man, I want to live that lifestyle. And it's really helpful. I've never had that before. I've never actually seen someone in England and be like, I want to be like you when I'm older. I literally never had that. I just see people and I'm just like, I don't want to do that. That's not the path that I want to go on. For example, people in the city and all that kind of stuff. It was just too much for me. But I saw people in Bali, and I was like, you have the sickest life. I want to live that. And please just teach me everything I need to know to be able to do that. I attracted all of this though, and I'm a huge believer in law of attraction and manifestation. And if you can just manifest the life that you want, you will attract the things that you need to be able to do that. And the best example I can think, and I could have easily gone to India and took a load of ket with a bunch of Arabs in the mountains, smoking weed every day, and drinking alcohol and doing nothing. A bit like my ski trip. And I didn't do that. I went on an adventure, a quest. I went to meet people. I was socialising, something that I don't or never really done in England. And I was finding out about other walks of life and finding out about other people. And it was just really, really inspiring to just see that and just to witness and to hear other people's stories. And of course, guys, I still enjoyed the odd spliff and the odd drink every now and then. But I had times where I completely didn't. And the yoga, the 4 weeks of the yoga was the first time ever I'd not had a drink, cigarette or a spliff for a whole month. And I felt so good after that. And in Bali, again, it was I drank a couple of times, and throughout India, I actually didn't drink at all because it's not the culture out there. I enjoyed a couple of joints in cafes, but that's the culture out there, and that's just what it is. And you just embrace that. You go to a cafe and drink tea, maybe have a smoke with someone, and just really engage in good conversation. And I was never looking to do this, or I was never doing this because I was bored or to cover up a deep-seated problem like I was always doing before. I just done it to deepen the current scenario I was in, just to make the current scenario better. Instead of looking for happiness when you can't find it and and you're already in a pessimistic mindset and you're just like, oh fuck it, I'm just gonna drink, go to the bottle, or I'm gonna take drugs, or I'm gonna smoke, just to mask that up. It's really not the way to go, guys. So, all in all, I know what I would rather do, and whenever I travel again, I am 100% sure going on a quest, taking an adventure, looking for inspiration, and just talking and meeting loads of people. Don't run away, guys. It's the worst thing that you can do. These problems will be with you for your whole life if you don't sort them out. So, by all means, take a quest, but just don't run away. If you like the content here, please feel free to subscribe and share and like, and send it to someone in need, because I would love to speak to them, just give them some advice about my own journey, just to see if I can just give value to someone else and help someone. That really makes me feel good. So yeah, don't feel like you're a burden at all. Drop me a message and I'll happily liaise with you via email. And most importantly, please subscribe and share so these videos can reach a wider audience. Thanks very much.